So there is a way in which judicial time can be very efficiently utilized. Are there ways and means in which the judges can do that? Are there activities which are conducted which could be more efficiently organized or perhaps avoided?
So this is a very interesting subject. So while I advocate for a proper vacation for High Court judges and Supreme Court judges, I also very firmly believe that while they are working, I mean the number of days that they work should be proper full working days. And I'll tell you a case in hand. We in the Supreme Court, when a judge retires, there is no wastage of judicial time as far as the courts are concerned. The judge sits with the Chief Justice of India and people just for an hour or so, whoever wants to say something about the judge goes and speaks there, and this whole thing is over in an hour. That too only of the Chief Justice's court. Whereas if you go to the High Court, including the Delhi High Court, most of the High Courts, whenever a judge is retiring or a judge is appointed, half day of the whole court is completely gone. So having a reference or the speeches of the incoming person or the outgoing person to be done in court hours is, according to me, criminal wastage of time. Delhi High Court, I know for sure that more than 100 to 150 days in a year are wasted. Now, when you have a half-day reference, so literally courts function only till about 12:30. And in that 12:30 also, they are not doing really meaningful work. Most of them are not doing really meaningful work because they have to run through the list. So all matters are being called out and it is being said today as a reference, so we can't do anything, and accordingly a date being given. Very few judges are able to do whatever they do in that 2 hours of time which is prior to the reference. But 80% of the judges end up doing nothing. And this is true for most other high courts as well. So I think this culture of having a reference of a retiring judge or having a reference or having any function while the oath takes place during court working hours needs to stop immediately. The other problem that I see happening in most high courts is that matters don't get decided for months, or even don't get listed for months. I know several high courts where you file a writ petition, it will not be taken up on its for its first hearing also for several months. Bail petitions are not being heard in the Allahabad High Court for years together. I remember having argued a bail in spite of the bail being pending in the High Court for 3 or 4 years. The Supreme Court was so disgusted that the Supreme Court, in spite of the bail petition being pending, the High Court granted my client bail in Supreme Court. So there has to be some primacy given to personal liberty. The judges should be alive to the problems that one faces, both social and physical and mental, in being incarcerated, especially in under trial. And in a very insensitive way, I find sometimes judges say, all right, 2 more weeks will not make any difference, and come after 2 weeks or come after 4 weeks or come after 6 weeks, without realizing that every day that a person spends in jail, if he doesn't need to be, or if it is not justified for him to be in jail, is a huge punishment to him, which can never, that period of his life can never be given back to him. The kind of ignominy that he suffers by virtue of this incarceration, the kind of social reputation that gets damaged by that incarceration, that can never be compensated in any manner whatsoever later in his life. So I think this insensitivity which is there in the courts, this needs to change. And when you combine at the way in which prisoners are treated in this country, then it makes it even worse. If it is just simply being confined and without the ills of what is happening in our prisons, probably even that would have been, that also is not justified, but that would have been to a much lesser degree than what happens in our prisons and the way prisoners are treated in our country, and then to be incarcerated in such prisons is according to me, something which we need to do something drastic about. So this culture of not working during court hours for whatever reason needs to stop. And when we justify these holidays, these long summer vacations, or these winter breaks and Diwali break, etc., we definitely owe to the system of working properly during the actual working days. And another problem which I feel plaguing the judiciary is judges who are not good in first principles are not able to decide. and with the result that a matter which can be finished in 10 minutes time sometimes lingers on for days and months because the judge is not able to take a call. The fact that you are hearing a matter for days together doesn't mean that you will still be right. So if you are able to decide this expeditiously, if you are good in first principles, I think disposal can be much better. And that is where it gets linked to the judicial appointment process, where again there has to be transparency in the appointment process, which will also ensure that better people get selected as judges, and the disposal rate of the judiciary is better.